My stepsister thought she had destroyed me when she left my wedding dress and ribbons on my apartment floor. But what she didn't know was that she just handed me everything I needed to turn her dream wedding into the most public humiliation of her life. From the moment her mother married my dad, I was basically an afterthought. My stepsister, Rachel, got everything. If we were kids, it was my toys. As adults, it was my parents' attention and support. It was just the way things were. So when I got engaged to my fiancé, Ethan, I had this tiny, stupid sliver of hope that maybe, just this once, Rachel would be happy for me. Oh, how wrong I was. It started with these little jabs, you know? Passive-aggressive comment about my ring. How Ethan could have done better. She'd scoff on my wedding dress choice, calling it too basic. I just brushed it off. It wasn't worth the fight. Then she announced her own engagement to a guy she'd been dating for all of 4 months. And her wedding date? The exact same day as mine. I honestly thought it was a joke. I remember looking at her and saying, "Rachel, you know this is my wedding day, right?" She just smirked. That smug little smirk. "Yeah," she said, "but I figured one of us should have a wedding worth attending." I looked over at my dad and my stepmom, expecting them to step in to shut this insanity down. But no. They were beaming at her, like she'd just announced a cure for cancer. My dad looked at me and said, "Well, sweetheart, you know Rachel has always dreamed of a spring wedding." I almost choked. I booked my venue over a year ago. You can't just. But my stepmom cut me off. "I think you should be more understanding, Olivia. You've always been so competitive with Rachel. Maybe it's time you let her have her moment." Competitive. I couldn't even speak. My fiancé, Ethan, bless him, he was seeing red. But I just turned around and walked away. I wasn't going to let her get to me. And then came the real sabotage. A week before my wedding, I got a call from my venue. They were so sorry, they said, but there had been a double booking. I was confused until they mentioned Rachel's name. "She what?" I whispered into the phone. She'd booked the venue under her name. And since she had just paid in full the day before, they assumed. I hung up. I stormed over to my dad's house, shaking with a rage I didn't even know I was capable of. "You let her steal my venue." Rachel just smirked from the couch. "You really should have paid in full earlier, Olivia." I turned to my dad, pleading with my eyes. "You knew about this?" He sighed. He actually sighed. Rachel was willing to pay more, and the venue needed the money. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You mean you paid for it?" Unbelievable. I left before I screamed. I would figure something out. I'd get married in my own backyard if I had to. But Rachel wasn't done. The night before my wedding, I stayed in a hotel. When I went back to my apartment the next morning to get my dress, my stomach just dropped. The dress bag was on the floor. The zipper was ripped open, and my dress had been slashed. 2 shreds. I don't know how I moved for the next few minutes. It was like the world went silent. I just knew one thing. Rachel did this. Then my phone rang. It was my dad. "Honey," Rachel told us what happened. "You should really let go of this grudge." My vision went red. You think I did this?" He sighed again. That same tired sigh. "Well, she said you were acting out, and you always did have a temper." That was it. That was the moment. The moment I knew, without a single doubt, that my family had chosen her. And I was done. I wiped my tears, squared my shoulders, and did something nobody saw coming. And when they saw me on the news the next day, they came running. Too bad for them. I'd already moved on. I should have been a mess, but instead, I felt this strange, cold calm. They all thought they had one. They had no idea what was coming. I made a few calls. First, the venue. Incredibly, one of Ethan's friends owned a beautiful private estate. When I explained what happened, he insisted we use it for free. One problem solved. Second, the dress. There was no fixing it, but I called a local designer boutique and just told them my story. One of the employees gasped. "Wait, you're the bride whose dress got destroyed?" I saw pictures on a wedding drama group on Facebook. It's blowing up. Pictures? I hadn't even thought of that. But if my story was already out there, why not use it? Within hours, a local designer offered to make me a custom dress overnight. She sent a message that said, "Let's make you look like a queen, free of charge." At that point, I almost wanted to send Rachel a thank you card. Her evil was working out for me. Now for the real fun. Rachel had my old venue, but she hadn't noticed that someone had tipped off the local news about a bridezilla sabotaging her own sister's wedding. On the morning of her wedding, Rachel woke up to her name everywhere. Bride accused of sabotaging sister's wedding. Stole venue, ruined dress. There are pictures of my shredded gown, texts from friends calling her out, even screenshots of her bragging about how I deserved it. By noon, the hashtag Rachel the Wicked Bride was trending. And the best part? Her dream venue, my old venue, canceled on her. Turns out, they weren't thrilled about being the center of a viral scandal. I heard she showed up in her dress, screaming at the staff until they threatened to call security. Her guests, seeing the drama unfold online, started bailing. And while all that was happening, I was having the wedding of my dreams. The estate was stunning. My new dress was better than the original, and everyone who actually loved me was there. So when my dad and stepmom finally came knocking, looking panicked, I knew why. The golden child had finally lost, and they needed me to fix it. Too bad for them. I opened the door, standing there in my stunning gown, glowing with happiness, and I just smiled. "Sorry," I said sweetly. "I don't think I know you." Then I shut the door right in their faces. The look of absolute shock on my dad's face was priceless. My new husband, Ethan, wrapped his arms around me as I walked back inside. "How does it feel?" he asked, smirking. I grinned. Like justice. Over the next few days, Rachel's life completely imploded. Her fiancé, yeah, he wasn't exactly thrilled to discover his bride-to-be was trending for being a vindictive psycho. He dumped her over text. Something like, "I don't know who you are anymore. I'm embarrassed to be associated with you." Then came her job. Rachel worked in event planning. Weddings, ironically. Not only did her company fire her, but her name was now toxic in the entire industry. Venues blacklisted her. Clients pulled out. Poetic, really. A week later, I got a long, dramatic email from my dad. "Olivia, I don't know where we went wrong, but the way you treated us was unacceptable. You humiliated your sister. Don't you think you've made your point?" Oh, this was rich. I typed back. "Where you went wrong was when you let Rachel walk all over me for years. When you watched her steal my venue, ruin my dress, and did nothing. You don't get to play the victim now. If you want to talk, you can start with an apology. Until then, I have nothing to say." And I hit send. The silence that followed was the most peaceful sound I'd ever heard. But if I thought that was the end, I was dead wrong. Because 2 weeks later, Rachel pulled one last stunt. It started with a message from an old friend. "Hey, is Rachel seriously trying to pass off your wedding as hers?" She sent me a link. It was a new Instagram account. And the pictures, they were my pictures. My wedding venue, my decorations, my cake. My dress. She had taken my professional photos and was pretending they were hers, with captions like, "Marrying the love of my life was everything I dreamed of." She was trying to rewrite history. Not a chance. I took screenshots of everything. Then I opened my own Instagram and posted a carousel of my wedding photos. My caption started with, "Imagine my surprise when I found out my stepsister decided to steal my wedding photos and pretend they were hers." I laid out the entire story from the sabotage to the dress, and then I tagged her fake account, my dad, and my stepmother. I sat back and watched the chaos unfold. Within an hour, her fake account was gone. She deleted everything, but it was too late. The screenshots were everywhere. Then my father called, his voice furious. "How dare you humiliate your sister like this?" I just smiled. "You mean like how she humiliated me? Like how you stood by and let her ruin my wedding?" I paused. This is different, he seethed. No, Dad, I said calmly. It's not. And guess what? I don't care what you think anymore. Then I hung up, and that was the last time I ever spoke to any of them. Rachel's reputation never recovered. She became a cautionary tale. As for me, I moved on, happier than I had ever been. I had a husband who loved me, real friends who supported me, and the sweet, sweet satisfaction of knowing I'd taken back every single thing she ever tried to steal from me. And that, right there, was the real happily ever after.